Hey guys, Vegan V here. I hope you can hear me over the sound of my dishwasher. The other day I made a tomato bisque over rice, which was pretty much a tomato gravy over rice. And it all starts with a roux. I am from South Louisiana, and a lot of our food is Cajun inspired, gumbos, jambalaya, that kind of type things. And at the base of a lot of our foods is what we call a roux, and that's spelled R-O-U-X, roux. And all a roux really is oil and water, and you just heat it up and you thicken it up. But you can use that as a base for a lot of your foods. If you're going for a more healthier approach, you can use a vegan butter, any kind of oil that you want. You can use olive oil, you can use pretty much whatever you want to make this. I'm going to be using cornstarch as a thickener. Well, actually, no, not cornstarch. It's a corn flour. It's a rice and corn flour. And I'm going to be using extra virgin olive oil. Just to give you guys an idea of how to make this. And all a roux is equal parts equal parts oil to equal parts flour. So you're supposed to make it in like a skillet or like a frying pan sort of. I have this kind of sort of semi-thick, it looks like a pot, but really it's a pan. And you know, I'm using an old stove, so. You want to put your heat on medium, high, or high. This old stove that I have only has two settings, high and super high. But you just want to put that over there, and you want to add, you can start with a 1/4 cup if you want to make one small. The stuff that I'm going to be using is over here. I have a 1/2 cup of oil, a 1/2 cup of the flour that I'm going to be using, salt and pepper to make it taste, and a little bit of water to make it go from the roux to like a gravy or sauce. So all we really want to do is add the oil to our pan. So that's a 1/2 cup of oil, and you can see it's kind of like bubbling a little bit. So my pan is pretty hot, and just kind of let that warm up a little bit, and then after that, all you're gonna do is add in your flour. So that's a 1/4 cup of flour. You can see it already starting to do what it's supposed to do. Another thing you want to have, if you can, is like, I use wood. I like wood. It's really safe for your pots. It's a flat-edged spoon. So what that's going to do is going to help scrape the flour off of the top, off the bottom of the pan, to help your roux out. So I'm going to be doing this on a very high heat, just so that I can do it quickly. You can do it on a low heat. It just takes a lot longer to do. But basically, this is all you're going to do for like the next 48 hours of your life. No, I'm just joking. I made a roux once for a gumbo, and like I had to take turns with my mom sitting there to stir the roux, because it was just literally, it just took us so long, and it was such a big roux because I was making a really big gumbo. But as you can see, we just you want to scrape off the sides of the edges, kind of just do this little circular motion here, and kind of just keep the flour from sticking, because it's going to thicken up with the heat. You can see how it kind of like, I can't really see it just yet, but later on you'll be able to see how it's going to start to thicken up and kind of get stuck. But you're just going to keep stirring this until it gets like a nice, I like to make mine like a dark golden brown. Right now it's kind of just a light from the oil that I put in it. It's like a light oily color. So it's kind of like a cream color. So if you just want to use like, if you want to make macaroni, a roux is really good to put in macaroni, this color. Basically you would just add, right now you would add your cheese in, and it'll make it kind of like a thick cheese sauce, which is really, really, really good. It's a little Cajun secret that most people don't know about. what I'm going to be using my roux for today is I am going to be making, I have butter beans over there, so I'm going to be making a butter bean and rice dish tonight for dinner. So yeah, I'm just going to keep stirring this, and I'm going to speed up the video a little bit, just so you guys can see the whole process from beginning to end, so you're not really missing out on anything. Okay, like I said, I have mine on a really high heat, so you can see how it's starting to get thick and it's not coming together so much. But you can also see how like I can scoop it like that. You just want to keep going, and now it's a little bit darker, so I went from a cream color. So this is kind of like my spoon's color. It's like a wooden kind of caramelly color. It actually looks darker. It looks really dark, but you see how it's starting to get really thick? That's kind of how you want it to get. You want it to get like this thick consistency. And you just want to keep stirring it. Mine is actually, yeah, because I'm cooking on like really high, it's cooking really fast. The most important part about this, like I said earlier, is you want to make sure that this does not burn. Because if you burn a roux, you have to start all over. But yeah, you can see it's like nice and starting to get kind of like a milk chocolate color. You see that milk chocolatey, and it's like super thick now. So this is actually almost perfect for what I want. In a second, it's gonna start getting dark. Some people, when they make gumbos, especially like some of the old-fashioned people, when they make gumbo, well, not old-fashioned, but some of the older crowd, they actually use like a black roux, which you make this super dark to where it almost turns black. But you gotta know like when it's burning and when it's not. But now you see how it's kind of like it's all really thick and kind of almost like, I don't know, super pudding. Kind of looks a little bit like ground meat. This is actually done. This is perfect for me. So see how it's kind of like this golden brown chocolatey color. Like when you're almost done browning ground meat, I'm gonna turn this off because it will burn. And then, so this is a roux. That's all there is to making a roux, is this part right here. If you're making a gumbo or something like that, then you would add water to it. I'm gonna add water to this now because I'm gonna use this as a base to make kind of like a thick, it's not really a gravy, it's gonna be like a thick sauce for my beans. Oh, and it smells so good. So to this, I'm gonna add, when you make one, start with like at least a cup of water. And I know that was really fast. I should have added that in like really slow. But add a cup of water to it, and then just stir it. And kind of get all the lumps out of it. So this is actually really thick. I'm gonna add more water to it. Usually I add about 2 cups, but you always want to start with not enough, because you can always, the rule of thumb with cooking is you can always add more, but you cannot ever really take out. It's harder to fix something when there's too much in it than to, as you can see, it's like a chocolatey color. It's kind of really dark. You see it's kind of like pudding, I guess. It's like really thick. But I'm gonna add some more water to this. Because when I add it to my beans, I don't want it to be too thick. because I want my beans to have like a thickness to them. So I'm gonna add in, let's say, another cup to it and stir it around a good bit. At this point, I did turn my heat off because, like I said, my stove has 2 heat settings, high and really high. At this point, you would want to turn it down to a low, just to keep it warm. You see it's thinner now. It's still got like a thickness to it. So now it's more of a gravy look to it. So like if you're really gonna make your own homemade gravy, this is a really good start. And now alternatively to water, you can add vegetable stock if you're vegan or vegetarian. If you are a meat person, you can add beef broth to this instead of the water to give it a more, or if you're making like a chicken gravy, you can add chicken stock to it, however you want it to taste, whatever kind of stock you want to put into it. I'm not going to put any vegetable stock in it, I just put water in it because I do my beans with the vegetable stock in them. So when I'm cooking my beans, I have them boiling, and then after I boil them, I take it off the heat, I drain them, and then I put a little bit of vegetable stock in there and cook them a little bit longer, just so they have like a vegetable kind of taste to it. And then I'm going to add this lovely roux to it, and it's going to taste delicious. So now you guys can see, that's our finished roux product. Kind of dark. You know, it's not the best, but it's now for your tomato gravy, like the tomato gravy that I made, what you want to do is I cut up 3 tomatoes. I put them in a fruit processor, and I pretty much just chopped that up until they were like really juicy, because you want it to be juicy. So for your tomato bisque or your tomato gravy or your tomato whatever you want to call it, you would just cut them up, and then you would dump that in there and stir it up, and then make some rice and serve that over rice, and you've got a beautiful tomato gravy or tomato bisque, whatever you want to put in your tomato bisque. I'm actually going to use this roux recipe to make a lot of things in the upcoming week, and I'm also going to be making a Cajun cookbook for vegans, so I'm pretty stoked about that. I mean, it's not necessarily the healthiest of things, but it's a good source of fats if you're low in fat, if you need a little bit of fat in your diet, because fats are good for you. And if you're just missing that home cooking, you know, it really helps to have. But that is all for this video. If you guys have any questions, any comments, just leave them up, and I will be glad to help you out. And if you guys want any tip or any questions on how to make anything else that I make, I will start making videos. So I will see you guys with the next recipe. Okay, sorry guys. So I actually just forgot an important part to the whole roux. So yeah, you have your roux. And with any recipe that you want to use, this has no taste. I mean, flour is very bland, oil is very ugh. So I mean, this is gonna be super bland. Like I said, I'm only really using this as a thickener for my beans, so I'm not really going to put any seasoning in it. But if you were like making the tomato gravy, the tomato is enough to give it a good flavor, but you're definitely going to want to add a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper to this. So I just put in a little bit of sea salt that I had to it, and just a little bit of just black pepper or any kind of spices that you want to actually give to this. So just make sure that you don't forget to season it, because that is kind of important. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. See ya.